Hello there, I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out of the UK into your homes. Welcome to my channel. You probably know by now, I broadcast from the UK. I talk about a lot of different news items, and today I'm going to be talking about Black Lives Matter, but not in the way that it's been talked about over the last couple of months. Because what I believe is that yes, Black Lives Matter, but what are we doing to make our lives matter? How can we make Black Lives Matter? You know, we spend a lot of time asking for other people to intervene on our behalf. We have to realize now that we're adults, we're not children. We don't need rescuing. And if we spend our lives waiting to be helped, waiting to be enabled because we've been hard done by in the past, we're going to be forever be victims. So I've got some thoughts about how we can make our Black Lives Matter. And I'm not coming from a derogatory place. I'm not coming from a place where I'm denouncing everything that's happened in our past. I'm not coming from that place. I'm coming from a place of renewal. I'm coming from a place of reframing Black Lives Matter and coming from a different aspect. Because if we keep bandying it about Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, it's a bit of a, I don't even know what to call it. But it does give people an opportunity to say all lives matter, white lives matter, red lives matter, purple lives matter, whatever it is. So let's kind of look at our lives as individuals, because once you look at your lives as individual and improve your life as an individual, it kind of spreads out to the family, it spreads out to the community, it spreads out nationally and globally. But they do say charity begins at home. So let's start on ourselves and see how we can make our Black Lives Matter within our control, whatever we have within our control. So, Black Lives Matter program shone a light on the disparities and inequalities, and it got people talking, which was good. We have a lot of people out there. You could say they're exploiting it. You could say, you know, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Don't worry about that. Don't care about who's jumping on the bandwagon. Don't care about who's getting paid for this. Don't care about who's getting paid for this program. Worry or care about yourself and your immediate family. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, so the conversations need to stop and action needs to start. The only people who can make our lives matter is us. We need to be interested in ourselves. We need to have faith in ourselves. We need to believe in ourselves. We have to believe that we have worth, that we are valuable, and that we have collateral. And we have to kind of find out what that is. We can't always be dispensable. We can't always be at the dispense of someone else. And do you know that each and every one of us, I've said this in previous videos, we all have gifts, we all have talents. And when you have a gift or a talent that you're able to manifest or exploit, no one can kick you out of a job because it's within you. So you have to kind of find that out, to find out where your worth is, where your value is, and then exploit it. So we do not make our lives matter by playing into the hands of those who desire to oppress us. So by going to the people who have oppressed us and asking them for reparations, what do you think that they're going to be laughing at you? They're going to say, we've got you right where we want you. So those are not the people you go to. In America, an alleged gang shot people at a funeral. No one died, but it was enough to bring the military back up. They don't care that nobody was killed, but do you think Donald Trump cares about those lives that were hurt or injured? Do you think he cares? Do those black people who shot up whoever they shot up in a funeral, Did they care about lives? And when you think about, if they don't care about lives, why should somebody like Donald Trump care about lives? If you're showing that you don't really care about your black lives that are around you, you don't care about the gunning up the church or wherever the funeral took place. There's people who loot and shoot. They don't care about the black businesses they're destroying. Why should they matter? We have to learn to care about ourselves. So what do you think? Why do you think Donald Trump is bringing the military in? Not because he's concerned about the gangs. Oh no. He's concerned, bloody hell, there's black people out there with guns. They might be able to defend themselves. Oh, we can't have that. We can't have black people being in a position to defend themselves. And those blasted idiots who've gone around with their ego shooting up whoever they were shooting up have laid themselves bare to be taken over, to be robbed of all the little ammunition they might have had that might have protected themselves. They've gone and shown to the world that they all have guns, that they all have ammunitions. Damn heedy at them. Seriously. And other people are going to suffer now because all of those people who had a little something, something, just in case, that they could defend themselves with, the military is going to go in there and they're going to take charge and they're going to make sure they ransack every house and look for the guns. And what are they going to defend themselves with? Just because of ego, just because of some kind of discontent. I mean, isn't the world bad enough without you going out there shooting up people and disclosing what you have? I mean, for Christ's sake, can't you keep something under wraps? That's the thing. I don't want to say all black people, but black people are just too bloody emotional. They're too reactive. They're too predictable. They need to adopt some of those white strategies of being calm, of being aloof, of being distant, of being emotionally dead. Because as long as you're going to react to any kind of injustice, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You are exposing yourself. And that's not going to help your life or any of the other black lives. All you're doing is putting black lives in jeopardy. And then you have the audacity to be waving and walking up and down the streets talking about Black Lives Matter. It's a joke. You need to be responsible for your black life. And yes, there are systems in place that make it very difficult. But like I've said previously, how do you think those slaves got through? Do you think they had it easy? Do you think the Windrush people had it easy? Do you think our descendants had it easy? They carried the load for us, not for us to be victims, not for us to be saying, oh, we want this, yes, sir, yes, sir. What has changed? What has changed? Still asking for bloody handouts, still asking for the oppressors to help you get out of a situation they have placed you in. And then you wonder why you're still in the same situation. Then you're running up your mouth, making yourself look, I don't even know what to say because I don't want to be judgmental. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look. You are meant to be regal. You are meant to be intelligent. You have all the skills within you. You have all the potential within you. And you know what potential is? Potential is untapped talent. And yet you have to follow the people who are lesser than you, regardless of race or culture. Why can't you look up to those people who are doing well? Why do you have to follow those who are not doing well and who are dragging you down with them? It doesn't make any sense. And then you're bawling and saying, the world is unjust. It's unjust because you play right into the hands of those who have set you up. That's why it's unjust. But you need to take a good long look at yourself, reflect about the situation you're in, reflect about your behavior, reflect about your attitude, reflect on your experience, and ask yourself, how am I complicit in the situation I am in now? How did I arrive here? Is there anything I could have done differently? Is there anyone I could have associated with that would have placed me in a better position than I am now? So what else have I got here? So how do we make our lives matter? We make our lives matter by pushing ourselves to do better, to be better, to stop playing the victim card and start claiming our hero status. My mother always said, good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good be better and your better best. You have a lot of people, black people. Sorry to say it like that, but we do. I'm talking for us, and I'm talking in a way I hope that will motivate you to take a long look at yourself to see how we can improve our individual situations. I'm not asking us all to change the world, but if we can change our individual situations. We have some black people who go into an employment or they got a job. Yes, ideally, you'll be running your own business. That would be great if you're that way inclined. Not everyone is that way inclined, so a lot of us have jobs. And when we have jobs, we start comparing ourselves to somebody else, maybe a white person in that employment. You're there busting your butt, doing this, doing your best, because that is what black people are renowned for. They're renowned for doing their best. They're renowned for going over, above and beyond everyone else. But then you're going on, you're doing your best and you're feeling quite pleased with yourself. But then your eye catch one white man sitting in a corner drinking tea. And you catch him and you look at him and you're thinking to yourself, here's me running up and down doing all of this. Look at him, sitting there drinking tea, and he's on the same salary as me. And then all of a sudden you let your standards drop. And then you'll be saying, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And then you become demotivated. And then you end up losing the job. That white guy's still there, you know. But it's about setting your own standards for yourself, not comparing yourself with others, not worrying about what that person is doing, but worrying about your goals, your individual goals. Yes, you're running up and down. Yes, you're sweating like a pig. But you're doing it because you have a purpose and a goal. And you want to achieve something, whether it's to pay your rent, whether it's to buy a house, whatever it is. But then you look at that person and you start comparing and you lose everything. What has that got you? Yes, you might feel like crap, but hopefully by working like that, by working your hardest and doing your best, you might be in a position down the line to get out of that position. That white guy will always be sitting there drinking tea. But your motivation should be, yeah, let him get on with it. I'm not really interested in him. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to build my dream. Yes, I'm working and doing this job that I hate, but it's to help me get to my next step. It's to lift me up a step higher towards my goal. And that is where your focus should be. Not on comparing some white man in a corner, which a lot of people do. And yes, we're told black people have to work 10 times harder. Maybe we do, but it should be with a goal of improving your situation so that you don't have to do that indefinitely. So I put here, I sometimes wonder how I developed into the person I am. You don't get to be the person I am by living an easy life. What I learned growing up was if I don't like the way I am being treated, I leave. And I did, even when it meant losing everything. If the situation was unhealthy, I would give it a chance, but if it continued, I left and started over. I started over so many times, and even at my age now, I'm still starting over, and it's great. New opportunities, new dreams, new goals. When I was in America, I lived in an area of Brooklyn called Park Slope. Lovely large homes I rented, and every month the landlady would complain about the oil bills and tell me that she would have to sell the place and I'd have to find somewhere to live. Her comments made me feel uncomfortable and unsettled. It pushed me to say, I don't want to rent anymore. I don't want to be in a position where somebody can keep telling me that they're going to turf me out, especially when they had a right to. I didn't have the money at the time. In fact, I had accrued quite a lot of debt. It was the American way. But when the opportunity came up to go on a peacekeeping mission in Angola, I took it. It was an opportunity for me not to use my wages. It was an opportunity to be paid on top of my wages. And it was also an opportunity to get danger money. I knew that if I stayed there for a year, I would have enough to put a deposit on a house and pay off my debt. And that's what I did. My life mattered. The way I lived mattered. The way I felt mattered. And I was responsible for the outcome and the decisions I made. I listened to Steve Harvey the other day. He got tired of being pushed around. He left, and it meant him living out of his car for 3 years. But he had a dream to own 6 acres of land. His dream was bigger than mine, because all mine was to have a home so that I wouldn't be turfed out every month or with the threat of being turfed out. But he achieved it. Instead of getting 6 acres, he was given 16 acres for the same money. And what motivated him is that because everywhere he moved, he found a place when he was homeless to squat, more or less. And he kept on being pushed on. He kept on being moved on. And he said, I've had enough. I don't want to be pushed on anymore. I don't want to be moved on anymore. I want to own land. And that's what he did. And that's what sometimes it takes. It takes being pushed hard enough in order for you to make a change. If you are quite complacent and you're quite willing to tolerate your current situation, nothing's going to change. Your life is not going to matter. You're just going to be going with the flow, let everything happen until the shit hits the fan, and then you're going to say, oh, if only I'd known. You need to be your own compass. You need to be able to push yourself not only when everything goes tits up, but now before it goes tits up, so you're prepared in advance. Steve Harvey, now look at him. He's a multi-millionaire and he hasn't got no education. His talent was making people laugh naturally. And look at him now. He had 16 acres. It ended up being about 240 acres. Anyway, the rest is history. You can Google it on YouTube and see how he went from rags to riches. But that's what I'm saying. You know, yes, if we want our Black lives to matter, we need to be responsible for our Black lives. We can't keep asking for help. We're adults. The majority of us are adults. And yes, the system is bigger than us, but people are bigger than the system. It's only a few people behind a desk, you know, making these decisions for you. A few people. So you need to be pushed to change. You need to feel uncomfortable to change. For Black lives to matter, they need to be mistreated enough to want to make a difference. Do you want to really reach that stage where you're mistreated, disrespected, abused, killed, mutilated, whatever it is? Is that the stage you want to reach before you realise that your life matters? Steve Harvey's net worth is 120 million. 120 million. Some people sitting there saying, oh, I don't have no degree, I don't have nothing, I can't do this, I can't. I don't even know how literate he is. But you have to know your gift. You have to know your talent. Like he was talking about this woman who loved making pies. And she made this pie and she wanted to start selling them in a shop. So she took this pie to this shop and she goes, taste this pie and see if you like it. And the guy said, yeah, I really like it. Anyway, there was somebody else in the shop and he said, oh, let me taste it. So she gave him a piece. She kind of cut the pie into 4 pieces. And the guy said, oh, yeah, I like that. Can you bring me in one tomorrow? Anyway, next thing you know, people asking her for her pies. Now she's a millionaire. That's all she does, makes pies. And you think making a pie, what's in making a pie? But if you've got a unique way of making a pie, that's all you need. If you've got a unique way of cutting grass, that's all you need. Steve Harvey's barber, he was paying $10 when he started, $1,500 a haircut. I wouldn't even imagine that somebody would pay $1,500 for a haircut. Yes, Steve Harvey's bald now, so he gave him severance pay because he's not going to use him anymore. But the fact of the matter is that guy used the severance pay to open up 3 barbershops. So he's got a franchise and he's now a millionaire. So it's whatever you love doing, regardless of how silly it sounds or how you think it's not going to get you anywhere. You just have to believe in your talent, believe in yourself, and stop putting obstacles in the way. We're too willing to put obstacles. We're too willing to blame racism. We're too willing to blame the system. We're too willing to blame failed relationships. We're too willing to blame betrayal and pain and hurt, when instead we need to forgive ourselves for making those mistakes and move on and start thinking, what can I do to make this black life better? Can you imagine if every individual, every black life thought that way? Can you imagine what a difference that would make? I think it would make an incredible difference. Maybe I'm being naive. I don't know. Maybe it's too simple. But sometimes they say simple is best. So, my dream isn't big. My dream is to live comfortable, content, and fulfilled. And I have that now. But I have to recognize that there may come a point when I will feel uncomfortable again. And if it affects my health, I'll need to make different decisions. For Black Lives to Matter, we need to check how what is happening is making us feel. If it is not making you feel good, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to run up your mouth, riot, loot, protest? Are you going to look at yourselves and ask yourself, what role have I played in where I am now? Are you going to ask yourself, what can I do to facilitate a change? Many people put down the Bible, but one thing that all motivators preach, which they got from the Bible, is to have faith. To believe and you will achieve. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, the Bible says, if you don't have any faith, you don't have any chance. You have to have faith. You have to believe in yourself and your abilities. You have to. How deep is your faith in yourself? How much do you think you are worth? Do you believe you are somebody? Are you ashamed of your colour? Some black people are. A black life can only be successful if it has value. Why do you think the oppressor's aim is to devalue the black life? Do an inventory of what you are good at. Just write a list. Everything that you're good at, regardless of what it is. Could be cutting paper. You know, some people have a knack of they're able to cut paper in a straight line. I can't cut paper in a straight line. Whatever it is you're good at. It could be fixing things or mending things and making them work. I saw somebody with a vacuum cleaner. I swear it's a health hazard. But it was wrapped with tape and it was still working. I'm just like, ah. But anyway, what my point is just look for do an inventory of every single thing you're good at and you feel comfortable with. And just ask yourself, is there anything in here I could make money from? Or how could I make money from anything that's in this inventory? It just takes a little imagination, a little creativity. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what you have lying dormant. A lot of us, we take so much for granted. And sometimes life has given us a hard time. And yes, we can't help feeling demotivated, fed up. You kind of lose that zest, that will to live. Everything you do seems to be going wrong. And you're just like, what is the point? But the point is, you matter. Your life matters. You have value. And you need to get up and start again, regardless of how many times you fall down, regardless of how many bad mistakes you've made, regardless of how many relationships that haven't gone well. Just keep going. Some people, they're saying, oh, I can't be bothered, these relationships, there's no good men out there, there's no good women out there, there's this, there's that, blah, 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 blah. Bring out the heart, bring out the heart. You know what I mean? You have to believe. You have to believe. So, if the talent is within you, like I said, no one can kick you out of a job. Try not to become complacent. Okay, what else is there? There's also a notion that I heard them saying, black lives are the way they are because they don't get married. What a load of tosh. Now, the thing is that marriage is supposed to be synonymous with stability, and it's supposed to be synonymous with commitment. And the adage is that if you stay married, it means you're able to commit. It's like they give kudos to people who have doctorate degrees, not because of what they've learned. It's because they've endured 5 to 10 years of studying and persisted in that study for that length of time. That's why they get kudos. It's the length of time that they have taken to learn and stuck with a subject. There is something about sticking with it that gives you kudos. And the thing and that's probably the Western way. I don't know. I mean, historically, black families have stuck together. So this is a new phenomenon. So I don't even know what they're talking about. Because my mother, she was married for goodness knows over 60 years. And lots of people in her generation remain married for years and years and years. So this is a new phenomenon. And it's not just for black people, it's for white people as well. We're living in a disposable society or dispensable society where people just, as soon as something doesn't feel right, they get rid of it and they replace it. And that is a concept. People kind of equate marriage with a noose around their neck. Things are going to change, loss of independence, instead of commitment. And there is something to be said about commitment. There is something to be said, sticking with it, regardless of all the odds. There is something to be said about that. And I think that when they're saying that black people, majority of them have children outside marriage, I mean, there's a lot of white people that have children outside marriage. There's so many cohabitation. I think it's 46% at the last count of people who are cohabitating as opposed to getting married. But people who cohabitate, they are 50% more likely to end the relationship than those who marry. There is something to be said about marriage in that sense. But I don't think it's got anything to do with black lives and poverty, unless, of course, you've made bad choices and they've stripped you of, they fleeced you for everything you've got, then that's not good. But generally speaking, 18.9% of black households are made up of single parents with dependent children in the UK. To me, 18.9% doesn't seem that much. Does that mean the remaining 72.1% are married? Or is that 18.9 of the whole population? I don't know. You know what was weird when I was trying to find out statistics of black heterosexual couples getting married? It didn't show it. Don't you think that's weird? What it showed me was why black single women are aging alone. I put in percentage of black heterosexual couples married in the UK. Can't find none. You know what they're telling me? They're showing me interracial. How many blacks marry whites? So I said, this, you have to be careful. Yes, Google is fine and all of these search systems are great, but they can distort the truth. And what it looks like when you're looking at that is like there is no figures for black couples. Why isn't there no figures for black marriages? Lots of my mates are married. You know what I mean? So there is something about how they omit information in the search engines to create a picture. So, what else have I got here? When sociologists claim that black people don't get married and have a lot of children outside marriage, it's to create a picture of instability. Lack of commitment is a cop-out, easier to chip and run. In the UK, out of 1.26 million cohabitating couples, unmarried couples are 4 times more likely to split than married couples. No breakdown as to what percentage of black people who live together. So is making a black life matter to do with marriage? I think it's to do with inner worth, courage and determination. It is to do with, given an even playing field, you do your best, you don't wait for handouts and you don't wait for hand-me-downs. You don't have to reject Black Lives Matter, you can reframe it. It is up to you to make sure Black Lives Matters. How do you treat someone or something that matters to you? You protect it, you nurture it, you take care of it, you provide for it, you do your best for it, you improve it, you praise it, you compliment it, you reassure it, you make sacrifices for it. That's what you do when something matters to you. So if a black life matters to you, whether it's yours or your family's, those are the kind of things you should be doing to show that your life matters. Love it. Love your life. Love your black life. Love your blackness. Love your black gifts and talents. Remember, racists are a minority, but they're made to appear as though they're a majority. Criminals are minority, black criminals are minority, but once again, they too are made to appear as though they're a majority. So to make lives matter, we need to become aspirationally wealthy. We need to aspire to have money, to have wealth, to acquire wealth. Get rid of this poverty mindset. Refuse leg ups and hand-me-downs, government interventions. Educate yourself on your dreams and goals. So you don't have to educate yourself in the school system, even though that's useful. But educate yourselves on your dreams and goals. Like I said, Steve Harvey, he wasn't educated, but he had a dream and he had a goal. And that is what he educated himself on. That is what he specialised in. And that's what it is about, specialising in your dream. No hurting each other or running people down. Get so many black people, criticizing and searching and looking for things to judge people by and making nasty statements. Stop it. It's not necessary. It really is not necessary to put people down. My mother always said, if you've got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. And I give that advice to you. Examine how to reclaim your resourcefulness and resilience of our ancestors. Assess where your mojo has gone. Why are you feeling so lethargic? Why can't you be bothered? Yeah, we know, all these things have happened, but you need to reclaim it. You need to get it back. Get your mojo back. Stop behaving like children who need to be rescued. Develop some emotional maturity and intelligence. Don't get so emotionally riled up. Keep calm. Practice on your family members to keep calm, to not react to when they're going off into one. Practice at home. Charity begins at home. You may say, how can we be equal to our white counterparts when there are obvious inequalities? Listen, they've got white people who are down and out as well. It'd be different if all the whites were up there and all the blacks were down here, but that's not the way it is. You've got white people who are struggling, just the way black people are. It depends on experiences, opportunities, decisions, life decisions that have brought about the situation you're in. So just examine your circumstances and see if you can make head or tail out of it. Do what you can with what you have got. There are black folk who have fought for survival. There are those who have managed survival, and there are those who have struck lucky. Fight for what is yours. Don't allow yourself to be treated as a subordinate or a child. Expect to be treated as an equal. Will white people be forever trying to prove they're not racist? Will black people forever be proving themselves they're not slaves and criminals? We need to paint a new picture, create a new dream, a new outlook, a new future. You may ask, how can black people be courageous and not lose their lives? Clarence Thomas, Ben Carson, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all lost their lives because they spoke out. Is there a way to be courageous and speak out without threatening your life and that of your family? Well, like I said, remember there is strength in numbers, power in unity, peaceful protesting. Think conservatively, be rational, not reactionary. Examine your fears, your experiences. No need to get defensive. Just do you. Do what you need to do to make yourself feel better about yourself, your life, and your future. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.